Hi guys, I'm Lisa.
And I'm Natassia.
And we were wondering,
are you free for coffee?
Welcome, welcome.
Okay, on a lighter note, if you were with us last week, it was a little true crime craziness, kind of too crazy to be true, but it was true.
WTF crime.
It really was just a moment of what is going on. But today we are going to cover Kerry Washington, one of her latest film masterpiece. It was really good to me.
It was.
Which was UnPrisoned.
It's on Hulu.
It's on Hulu.
It's streaming on Hulu now.
Yes.
And if you have not seen it, please watch it.
And it's, what are those called? Miniseries? Is that what they're called? A miniseries?
Yeah, it's a how many episodes was it?
7, I think.
Was it? But they go really quick.
They do.
They weren't
not
an
long.
hour.
No,
they weren't an hour.
No, they were not long.
It's kind of a dramedy. There's some really funny parts, but it's serious. So I would say a dramedy.
You know, it was serious, but it wasn't heavy. Well, actually, yeah.
In parts.
In parts.
There's some really funny parts. But I mean, it was lifelike to me. That's life. You know, it's funny and it's serious. But the premise of it is a father returns after being incarcerated for 17 years.
Yes. So
the father is played by Delroy Lindo, and the daughter is played by Kerry Washington.
Yes.
And the kind of, not fun thing, but what I think moves the story along is that she's a therapist.
Yes.
So and on her Instagram, or she has
a following on her Instagram.
So she
goes live pretty often.
Yeah,
and
then she
videos.
just talks about different conditions and different issues that she has, and that her followers, if you're doing this, it could be this. And so, but that helps you understand what's going on, which is helpful, really.
And she's very transparent about her own issues that, she's very transparent about her own issues that she feels like her father is partially, if not entirely, to blame.
So we love Kerry, don't we? We love Kerry Washington.
And she is really growing on me.
I love seeing her again. You know, she's since she left Scandal, she's still working, but you don't see her as much.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I was glad to see her again. I love that she played a therapist. The character, I liked her, but I felt sometimes she was a little self-righteous.
Very.
And but I guess we all can get like that when you feel like you're in the right.
Yes.
And somebody has wronged you.
Well, and it did play into the whole, I'm a therapist and this is what's wrong with you. You know, and I think that's what made her so kind of self-righteous. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, she had been in her eyes wrong, which she kind of had been. You know, if you have a absent father and all the issues that brings up,
which we're going to get into my issue with her issue with the dad.
Yes, we're going to talk about him.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it.
But y'all, there was a little girl playing her inner child, and she didn't look. It's hard to tell. Honey, she looked about 6.
She was hilarious,
little bitty girl. And she was so funny. She
deserved an award, just her.
Didn't she remind you of Diane in Blackish?
She did.
Except when she was little.
If you like Diane in Blackish, she gave you all the Diane vibes.
But even more. Because she was so funny.
She was uninhibited for sure.
Yeah. And she would cuss and say grown-up things, but it was hilarious.
But it was
so
her
hilarious.
Inner child. And I know that sounds kind of Freaky Friday, but it did not come across that way. It actually read very well.
And it was kind of some comic relief, and it also drove home the point that you are stuck at the point of your trauma.
Yes.
And
this is the point where Kerry Washington was damaged.
Yes. And she had some real issues with abandonment, really.
Yes.
And just the father not being there. But overall, we liked her as a character. She grew. You saw her grow.
She did grow.
And, she came to an understanding of her father's trauma.
Yes.
He had some stuff going on in his life. So what did you think about Edwin?
You know what? I love me some Edwin.
I did too. I think he was my favorite character of the story.
Him and Finn. Yeah. I'm kind of tied with him and Finn in terms of my favorite. I I loved him because I do feel like, for better or for worse, he did the best with the deck of cards he was dealt.
I agree.
I do. I felt like he did the best that he could do. This is what happened. This is the situation that I'm in. I'm doing the best that I can do for you.
And I thought he was working so hard to prove to Paige he loved her.
He was.
He really was. He was really
and even just to reacclimate, to change.
And just to validate what she needed. Like I'm getting what you need from me. And he was trying to do that.
He was trying. And they did a really good job, in my opinion, of, in a very kind of light way, showing the issues that are faced with people who are the reentry population.
Right. And how they need support and family.
Yes.
And then
because he took the skills he had, he was completely honest. And I mean, it was basically oh yeah, here's a job. Oh no, just kidding. We changed our mind.
Right.
That's devastating. That's
or
devastating.
Else just give you a shitty job.
Yeah.
And that's not.
Yeah. And then treat everybody poorly.
Yes,
I mean, it was. Yeah.
Yes. They're subjected. That's a real issue.
Yes.
Because the system is made to keep you in the system.
Yes.
They're not really looking for you to succeed.
No. They make a lot more money when you're locked up.
Right. So that was an issue. So we see him struggling with that, but he kept a good attitude.
He did.
And he was, I'm a hustler, baby. He was.
Yes. He was charming and suave.
He was a salesman. You could see where he could really, if he had the right circumstances, he could really make it.
Yes.
But as in life, bad stuff happens.
Yep.
And the thing with his little ice cream truck.
Oh man, that broke my heart.
I saw him like, wow, this is a winner.
Yes.
And my goodness. So somebody stole that. And so he had just so many really bad luck. A lot of it wasn't him at all. It
was completely out of his control. And, kind of segueing a little bit on his daughter, Paige, when things would happen, she immediately blamed him.
Yes.
And a lot of it.
You did something to make this happen.
Right. What did you do wrong?
Right.
And in reality, there was nothing he could have done.
Yes. He was just in that circumstance.
Nothing. Yes.
And then too, we see how much shit he had to climb over.
Yes.
Just to make himself available to her and Finn. Yes. Because he had some big issues in his own life that we find later out, and she finds later out.
Do you agree his issues were much harsher than hers?
It's relative because pain is pain.
I guess pain is pain.
I think his were more what's the word? Really kind of more traumatic. Like an incident.
Yes.
Hers was kind of like over a span of time, it's happening. You know what I mean? It's not like one thing that hit you and you're,
fair. That's
it was
fair.
like, his was one big thing.
It's hard to, we've talked about this before. Like you can't say this is worse than that, but I don't know. I felt like he just was kicked in the stomach over and over and over and over.
Well,
and
as
over
a black man, that's kind of our world now.
Yes.
And the thing too, he was of an age, you didn't show it.
Yes.
You took it because he never well, of course she wasn't around him because he was incarcerated, but nobody around him really knew this story.
Except for when he went back home.
Right. The people,
her last name
cousins
is Gibbs.
And something.
What's her first name? She's
Marla.
Marla Gibbs. Okay, I thought it was Marla.
227?
Oh yeah, she's been in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, you know her.
So she's
Jeffersons.
She's there and she's at the church. She's like a deaconess and he goes to her in hopes of finding some records.
It was his mom's friend or something.
Yes,
yeah.
In hopes of finding records of his birth. Because that's another thing. When you get out, you don't have anything. Unless someone on the outside has maintained, maybe an expired license or state ID. Even now, when clients get out, I have clients that get out of TDCJ, first thing they want to do to celebrate is throw away that TDCJ ID. And I'm like, no. That is the only thing that says you are you.
Oh, until you can get your driver's license and all that kind of stuff. Okay.
Because that you can use to get a library card. Then once you get a library card, you can take those two documents and you can get like a gym ID. You can use that. But I can tell you, even as a worker, they're taking that to get a library card. Well, they also have to have a bill. So you got to have a bill plus that. Then you get a library card. You're literally working your way up to getting your own state ID, your own birth certificate. And so,
and he was an older man. So, depending on when you were born, there's different rules about getting your birth certificate.
Well, he was an older man. Where did they drive?
Like Alabama. It was Alabama. You had to be in person or something to get it.
You had to be in person.
They wouldn't mail it to you. They wouldn't mail it. It was like a whole thing.
And a lot of people in general were not born in hospitals. But a lot of people of color were definitely not born in hospitals. And it's not
they didn't keep very good records.
Or they didn't keep good records.
Or at all. Because they didn't really care about us.
My mom, if you had her everything is wrong.
Yeah.
Everything's wrong. And all she has is one baby picture that has the real date. But to this day, everything, her birthday is wrong. The whole gambit is wrong because they just did not care back then.
Yeah. The same thing with census. They might just say a little girl. No kind of just or a child or whatever. But I did love him, he was really insightful into male-female relationships too. Yes, he really was, and just had a whole thing. And I felt he validated her so well with and I her
felt like
worth
he
and
was
what
always
she
trying to be honest with her.
He was. I loved him. What do we think about Nadine? Now Nadine was his girlfriend
when he got incarcerated,
right? And I guess, were they married? Had they been? Because at one point he said, "Your mom." So she was like, was she her stepmom?
I don't think they were ever married.
Okay.
I just think it was one of those, those were like, they've been together forever type of thing.
Common law, probably.
Yeah, if it was in a different state, it would have been common law.
So she had been his significant other. They don't go real deep into what all went on and stuff. But at some point, Kerry Washington's character, Paige, lived with her for years. It sounded like, while the dad was in jail. Yeah. Right. Yeah. But Nadine, her character, she was
stylish.
Real cute. And
she was a bad girl gone right. That's what it was. Yes. She was a girl. She used to like bad boys, hence how she was even with Edmund to begin with. Yeah. And she went back to school. I think she said she got an MBA. She said
yes, she was successful. She had a nice home.
And then she worked for like the mayor I think it was the mayor's office is what they said. She had a very nice home. I felt like she really got the short end of the stick. I liked her character.
For whatever reason, Paige was not feeling her because Nadine, they alluded to some things that Nadine had done. Like when she lived with her, she made sure she had nice clothes and the cool stuff and the going to concerts and stuff. But
quote unquote maternal.
She wasn't the typical motherly type person.
And can we just say, people who give birth are not always maternal,
right?
So
and maternal looks different for different
every
people.
Person. Yes.
What you do is not the same thing as somebody else does. Yes. So Paige just didn't, for whatever reason.
It wasn't enough for her.
It wasn't enough for her. And she had a foster mom who was the typical
girl, she looked
June
like
Cleaver. Not even as cute as June
Pentecostal
Cleaver.
Lady. What she looked like, kind of long skirt, long hair, apron.
That's what Paige.
But you know what? I call BS.
Or do you want it because you don't have it? What I mean?
I still call BS because you say that's what you want, but when they went to church, the son was like, "Oh, he's like, I ain't never been, I've never been here before."
Yeah, so it didn't stick.
So you didn't love it too much because you weren't doing it.
Did she love it because the sister Esty was there?
That's
what I think because Esty,
she was very close to her foster sister. Who was also adopted. Guys.
Yes.
Who was
so
also
Esty was her not biological sister, but they were both in the same foster home
at the same time
or whatever.
Yes.
But they adopted Esty, didn't they? Or she just stayed there longer? No,
she just stayed there longer.
So Esty was the ride or die that everybody needs in your life. She was her realtor, so she found her the house that she bought, and she was very empathetic to Paige with all her stuff.
I felt like she was so respectful,
but she was quick
and empathetic of Edwin.
Call her out, though.
She was.
Like when Paige was, she was like,
tripping.
No, that's not.
Yeah. And she was respectful to Edwin as well.
Oh, I felt so too.
Even Esty, I felt like Esty was more forgiving of him than Paige. And I'm gonna I will say this.
But it didn't affect her.
It didn't affect you.
So that, that's from the outside looking in. Yeah. It's always easier.
I can agree with that. But I just, as y'all are hearing, I just felt like Paige needed to be told the truth by somebody. And Esty was the one to do it. That is the one who would get him. She was.
But one thing I did like about Nadine, I think she really loved Edwin. And we don't know what all went down, but we know it wasn't healthy. They weren't in a healthy relationship.
No, they were not.
But I did love that she did the work while Edwin was away on herself.
Yes.
And she still loved him. Yes. She still loved him.
She still loved him.
But she had healthy
to his car. And she even said it. I drove it every week, got oil change once. She alludes to that. So she did.
Yeah.
She grew as a person.
His stuff. Yes. But she had boundaries.
Yeah.
When he came out, there were boundaries, even though she still let him back in her life. But she had done the work on herself. And I like that too. Now, Bill, y'all. Bill was Paige's boyfriend that she was kicking it with, that he was separated from the wife, but it didn't sound like he was divorcing the wife.
No. As a matter of fact, at one point she goes to his house. They're supposed to be going somewhere. They end up in bed together. She comes downstairs and there's like all these happy family photos of him and the wife. And so he has
get
a
the
child,
kids, but you don't need the picture of the wife, right?
So him and the wife have a child that is getting married. And so Paige is thinking, oh, you didn't invite me because it would be kind of awkward. You're here with your girlfriend. And he was like, no, she doesn't know about you. Hello.
Well, and the dad tells her, well, that proves you're the side chick because you lied to the one you love.
Yes.
The side chick can know the truth because you really don't give a damn. Because you don't care. And wow, wasn't that eye-opening?
That whole episode, I was like, right then and there, she should have known, you know what, this degree ain't earning me as much as I thought it was because you missed it.
Everybody in a weird relationship or one that you think isn't going anywhere needs to watch that.
Yes, go listen to Edwin.
He broke it down, didn't he?
He did.
But I usually loved Tim Daly. That's who was playing.
I know.
And he's usually such a nice guy.
And I think he's been your sexiest man alive before, maybe. I don't know. I think
if he's not, he should have been. I should pick him.
He's cute.
I could. Okay, we'll talk about it later. But yes, he's so cute, but he plays it such an asshole, such a piece of shit in this. He just burst my bubble.
And guys, I'm going to say this: it wasn't that he was mean or any of that. The truth is, he was unavailable, and she was making it out to be more than it was.
This showed what we all have done. There's some guys, whether they're married or not, or with somebody or not, they are just unavailable.
Yes.
And they're,
and we're lying to ourselves.
Right. And they will say whatever they say, I'm not ready, I'm not this, I'm not that. Yeah. But they will leave that and go find what they...
Because she ends up cyber stalking him on Instagram, and he looks just as happy with the wife at the wedding. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you, they didn't look very separated to me.
No. That and we don't know that was a house, just a little love nest he had on the side. We don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know. We just know what he told her.
Yes,
so that's might be the lie he told.
So Bill, we didn't like you.
We didn't like.
We like you in real life.
In real life, we love you, Tim, but not Bill. Okay, now Malcolm. Malcolm was the dad's parole officer.
Correct.
Who Paige. They kind of
got together. Yes.
And he was so nice, wasn't he?
And you know what? Now, he wasn't nice like, he's just a pusher. No, like, he was just a good dude. Yes, he was. And in the end, he ended up telling Edwin about himself. And I think there was something about it coming from a man that just made me like it. I was sick of Paige because hers seemed so self-righteous. But when Edwin said it, I could get behind it because he didn't lie. I mean, not when Malcolm told Edwin.
Oh, at the end,
I was like,
why? Yeah, because he had a lot of insight into Paige's why.
Why? Yes,
this is why she's this way because you did X, Y, Z, and you need to own it.
Yes,
you need to own what you did.
Yes, and own your part in why she is behaving this way.
Well, and because he had a counseling background. He had that insight. Like I'm seeing parole, why
you have seen so many broken people, and when you get to talking to them and you hear their expectations, and now, guys, for those of you that ever follow my careers, I work with the reentry population, and it all starts when they're kids. It does.
Oh, for everybody.
For everyone.
For all of us. We all have stuff that happened or that was done to us that, that's our why.
Yeah.
That's
and so
our
for
why.
him, he could see, not that Edwin was doing anything wrong in the present, but he could just see through the whole situation.
Because of these things that happened to Paige.
Yep.
That this is the way she is. And she, like the little girl, your picker's broken. So her picker was broken and she's going after unavailable men because her dad was unavailable.
Her dad was
so
unavailable.
That you go after what you know.
Yes.
Even unconsciously.
You're seeking unhealthy validation. You're going after people who are not available to
here's
you.
a good guy that's right here. And he said that.
Yeah.
She wouldn't know a good guy.
No.
Because she just,
that's all she's used to.
Yes. So he had an insight into it.
Yes, he did.
But he still had to break away from it. I mean, it just wasn't healthy. Now, Finn, oh my God, Finn was Paige's daughter. Son. Sorry. Ooh, why did I say that? That's a cute girl name too, though.
It is.
He was adorable. He was a teenager, just learning to drive.
Yes.
And we never see his dad.
Picture.
We don't see his dad, do we?
Pickers are broken here.
Okay. So
because he made the comment because Edwin knew his birthday. He's like, you don't know my birthday? And he said, yeah, I do. It's March 10th. Or it was something along those lines. And he was like, wow, I don't even think my dad knows my birthday. And so it made me think, and you're repeating the trauma because now your child has a dad who is unavailable. Yes.
But Finn was so sweet, so healthy,
he was
mentally healthy, like just a good heart. He loved his granddad. He finally had a male in his life.
Yes.
And the granddad loved him and was really kind of taking him under his wing. And they just became close really quick. And I don't know. It was so sweet that he saw Edwin and saw the struggle Edwin was in.
Yes.
So he understood it even when his mom didn't.
Yes.
Like I see him trying so hard and I see him all the things.
Like there was a point where Finn had went to the restroom and the grandfather Edwin took them all out to celebrate and he saw them renege the job offer.
Right.
And he also saw the grandfather go in there, show off his stuff and get the job. And he understood.
And told the guy that he had been in prison.
Oh, yes. He was, like I said, he was honest about it.
And the guy was okay with it, but then he learned corporate or something wouldn't do
corporate
it.
Decided that they couldn't do it. And Edwin never knew that he saw that because he was coming out of the bathroom when he saw it or going to the bathroom, however it worked out. It was one of those where it's like, what? And so he could hear it. He could see it. I loved Finn. And really.
And Edwin protected them a lot too, because he didn't even tell that.
No.
He just kept it, like it just, both things were so heartbreaking on both sides. You see the men just struggling and Finn, he was way more mature than his age conveyed. I mean, he really took a lot of responsibility and he had a lot of emotional weight. He did. That, that he carried, I think not in a bad way, but just that his mom didn't. Yeah. Because, he understood the grandfather. So that was, kind of sad, but it was really good, y'all. It's touching. There's parts where you will cry. Yeah. Oh yeah. But but it was really good. Laughter through tears.
It was. Yeah. And by and large, it had a lot of comedy. Now I'm going to say this because this has irked me since I watched it. Lisa always finishes first and then she's like, you have to watch it. So I watched it and I did like it, but I really, sometimes you blame who's around because you really can't blame someone who's not around. And I felt as though Paige, her character, she blamed her dad, but y'all, her mama was nowhere to be found.
Yes. Now, I never understood that.
I'm actually going to rewatch it.
Nadine did keep her. So that's why, at first you think she is her mom. But then you hear, no, she's not the biological mom.
When she met Edwin, she was 3. That does.
So we don't know anything about Paige's mom, if she's dead, alive, or she just
barely over 3.
Just left and left him with this
you're blaming
kid.
him about the absentee, but
Mama
he was more
gone
present
too.
than the mom was.
Yeah. But that shows why her picker was broken. Both parents were gone.
Yeah.
So,
but there was just never any mention of the mom. And I guess it bothered me. Not that she wasn't mentioned, but just that all of the hatred, all of the it's your fault was on Edwin. And my thing was,
maybe she died.
He tried. He did try.
He did. Yeah. Once he got out, he did. And even, oh gosh.
Well, even the last time, there's the reality of once you get a record, there's only certain jobs available to you.
Right. And so he was an elderly guy. Yeah. I mean, he wasn't a spring chicken.
No.
Kerry Washington was the daughter. That tells you he's got to be up there.
You got a grandson that's 16.
Right. So that in itself takes out a lot of jobs.
A lot of jobs.
So he just was in a really precarious position.
Yes.
And gosh, I kept hoping that the little ice cream thing would work out. I thought, just get another one. Help him hustle. Get another one. Something, somebody, But,
and I think where she was at the end, if she had been there earlier, she would have helped him get another one. It would have just been like, oh my gosh, it went missing. Let's try this. But she just wasn't there.
Yeah. Yeah. But watch it. Please watch it.
It is good.
Okay, up next, our picks for the sexiest man alive this week. But first, a message from our sponsor, BetterHelp.
During hard times, it can get really difficult if you don't have anyone to talk to. Being alone with your thoughts can be an isolating feeling that can allow negativity to consume you.
This is why we are sponsored by BetterHelp. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to.
There is a broad range of expertise in BetterHelp's 20,000 plus therapist network that gives you access to help that may not be available in your area. You just fill out a questionnaire to help assess your specific needs, and then you get matched with the therapist in under 48 hours.
Then you schedule secure video and phone sessions. Plus, you can exchange unlimited messages, and everything you share is completely confidential. You can request a new therapist at no additional charge anytime.
Join the 2 million plus people who have taken charge of their mental health with an experienced BetterHelp therapist. So many people use BetterHelp that they are currently recruiting additional therapists in all 50 states.
Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/free-for-coffee. That's betterhelp.com/free-for-coffee.
Okay, I'm back with another non-tattooed, non-musician, non-tall guy.
Oh.
I'm doing pretty good, guys.
Who is it?
So his name is Mark Richardson. He is Malcolm. He is who plays the parole officer / healthy boyfriend. He was
so cute.
He was so cute. I was like, I'm like, Esty, bitch, what's your problem? Esty was like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like,
he was sweet. He was thoughtful, all the things.
And he really understood it because he was a parole officer.
Right.
Anyone else, you're trying to make this make sense, but she didn't have to do that with him.
Yeah.
And it really was just unfortunate that she wasn't
in the right place.
More healed.
Yeah. To have him. Well, I'm going to pick Delroy Lindo, who played Edwin.
Yes.
He's age appropriate.
And he's handsome.
And he's really handsome. And I just loved him in this part. I think he plays in a lot of things.
He was so charming and
But
smooth.
In this role, I loved him. I thought he was just something about him. Edwin was just all the things, and you just were rooting for him to make it.
You were. And they kind of left it. It's
kind of open-ended.
It's open.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's going to be another season or they just kind of you're rooting for him.
You are,
and you want him to make it. So I kind of hope they come back and please, we need
give us another mini series because this was really open. Like
it really was. We don't know what happened, but
it wasn't a cliffhanger. It was open. to interpretation or open for other things to happen in the future.
He was at the point where he was discouraged because things weren't working out. And this is what happens.
This is.
And why people go back to that lifestyle, because in their new lifestyle, we make it so hard on them.
Yeah.
You
paid
things.
the time, but then you really didn't, because we're going to keep punishing.
Right.
We're going to continue.
That's exactly it.
And that's what he was living, and he was getting discouraged. So I'm curious to see what happens.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, loves. Thank you for pulling up a chair and joining us for coffee. Please subscribe to Are You Free for Coffee podcast wherever you are listening. We hope that you enjoyed today's episode and find joy in the little things. Until next time.
Part of the Boundless Audio Podcast Network.